Welcome to Exploring Curiosities with the Unbridled Woman, the podcast where curiosity knows no bounds. My guest today is Laura Guy. She is a Soul Biz Strategist who is dedicated to helping women turn their passion into profit and build soul-led businesses. With a unique blend of business wisdom and spiritual insight, she empowers women to align their professional lives with their deepest values and desires. Her mission is to guide women in transforming their dreams into thriving, purpose-driven ventures, unlocking their full potential and achieving financial success. Tune in as we explore her journey, insights, and the powerful impact she's making in the world of soul-led entrepreneurship. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, I am so happy you said yes to be here and to share your voice. This is what this platform is, to allow individuals just to speak about a hero's journey, a reclamation, getting their voice out there, because there's always at least one other person who needs to hear your message. And that is what we're looking for. We're talking to you, the person who needs to hear this right here, right now. And then I get to play a little bit, getting curious about what is up for us. I have a couple questions to ask you that might inspire, and then we'll go from there. So, Laura, take it away. Please share your story that you want to give out to us today.
So I started from the UK. You can probably tell by the accent, but I actually started my whole journey when I think I was about 28. So I started in the world of network marketing. I had worked in a fish and chip shop for 17 years and basically just just dead ended it for as long as I could remember from being 13. And I started in network marketing because I really wanted some nice skincare and I didn't want to have to pay loads of money for it. So I got into this skincare company and suddenly things started to change for me, and I started to realize that actually there's so much more to life. There's like such a big world out there. There's so many different things that you can go and find. And I just totally fell in love with business. I fell in love with empowering women, and actually watching as I started building teams and I started kind of climbing the compensation plan, just seeing these women achieving the goals and just watching that spark and that light come on in their eyes when they say, I did that. I actually did that, when they achieved the goals. And it was just so magical that I did really, really well in the company that I worked with. I got to a really high rank and I loved everything about it, but I really wanted to be empowering people more. I wanted to be working less with selling products and more with raising women and being able to kind of be that person on the edge of that cliff, reaching out a hand and saying, I've got you. I've got you. I launched my coaching business in 2021. I started off predominantly as a mindset coach, and things have evolved from there. It's been a very client-led journey of me switching from kind of mindset coach to business coach and kind of mingling the two together in such a beautiful way. Because obviously with business comes mindset. If your mindset isn't on point, you're not going to achieve things in business because you're going to sabotage yourself. So I started kind of intertwining the two and helping women to actually navigate the path in business. And sometimes it was that huge pivot where they were doing something that they thought was meant for them, and this is where I'm supposed to be, to all of a sudden awakening kind of a dream inside them of, I actually want to do this instead. So going through that whole pivot point and being able to kind of look and think, right, okay, so how can we kind of make this transition? How can we kind of switch from where you're at to where you want to go? Using everything completely soul-led, pulling back the layers of all of the shit that we collect throughout the years, and just getting back to themselves and having that deep connection of kind of mind, body and soul of, this is where I want to be. This is my big dream. This is exactly what I want to achieve, and I'm going to go for it. So I am now business coach / mindset coach / a little bit of everything. I am a reflector in human.
They go together, right?
Yeah, they do beautifully. Yeah. But I am a reflector in human design. So I am kind of like the mirror to my clients. So when I work with clients, when I work with anybody, it's basically like just holding a mirror up and saying, this is your potential. Like everything that you're seeing here now, this is you. This is coming from you. You're just kind of projecting that onto me, and I'm reflecting that back to you. So it helps them to actually understand, yeah, that's inside me. I can do this. So that's kind of been my journey.
I love that. And it reminds me of, I truly believe like when we admire something in somebody else, we're seeing a part of ourselves in that
Yeah.
person, right? And it gets reflected back, and then we get to like you said, when you can shift and understand that I can do this too, it lights up. There is.
Yeah.
I've seen that myself work with women too, and it's so satisfying, isn't it? When you
Yeah.
see like
Yeah.
their light goes off, you're like, yes, you got it.
Yeah, you're just like, yes, you go. So it is. It's just it's empowering, not just for the person that's achieving, but it's empowering for actually working with these people and actually seeing like it every single day is like a confirmation that I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, because I am seeing these transformations and I am watching these results and I am watching these people kind of unlock that potential that they've got within them that's kind of been squashed over time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just truly magical. I love it.
Yes, yes. Have you ever heard of it's like an 80% 20% rule, where in business it's all 80% is about your mindset, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then 20% is your knowledge of like, or a
Yeah.
product. Like it really, you don't really have to really, I guess, know what you're doing so much as actually believe that you can actually do it.
Yeah. See, I think it's 90-10. I definitely think it's 90-10, and it's
It's
like
more on that side,
90%
yeah.
like, yeah, and 10% skill set. You can learn anything, but without that belief, you're not going to actually turn your hand to it and actually try in the first place. So
Yeah. What do you find when working with your clients is their biggest obstacle,
I
that
would say self-belief is
self-belief?
the main one. Self-belief and self-sabotage, and obviously they kind of go hand in hand, because if you don't believe in yourself, your subconscious is going to create all of the behaviors and all of the habits that are going to stop you from taking action on the thing that you truly want to do. So when we kind of work through the right, okay, so when did you stop believing in yourself? Because we all believed in ourselves at one point. Like, we're learning to walk, we kept getting up and we kept getting up and we kept getting up, and then eventually we got to a point where it was like, I can do this now. So, but we never stopped. We never gave up. Most people you will see walking about. So it's kind of unlearning the things that they've been told and letting go of the things that society has expected of them, of the beliefs that they've collected and the energies that they've collected from other people, to actually kind of instill that in them. And I think the main thing for that is baby steps, and just taking those teeny tiny little steps and saying, well, you didn't think you could do this, but look, you've just done it. So now we're
Yes.
going to go one step further, and just taking them and holding their hand through that process. And then eventually they're unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me, there's what's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes I use this in my coaching as well. It's a ladder. So I actually have you ever heard of this, where you I have them put paper down on the floor and label it 1 to 10. So they start at 1 and they look at 10, and like 10 is their goal. Like, this is where they want to be at. And I have them move to a number that they feel comfortable at.
Yeah.
And so then feeling what their body feels like at this number, right? And then taking that one little step to the next number, and like, can you do that? How is that? Like, oh, that was a little challenging, but I still feel good in my body. It's, I still feel relaxed. And then having that finally they get to maybe 8, and they're like, oh, I can't go any further. And then that's where like the work comes like, oh, hey, just like you said, like, let's feel it. Like, I'm a lot about like feeling into the body, like the somatic stuff. It's like, where is that coming from? And something we don't really have to always know, oh, this is when I was 5 years old and someone told me this, but maybe it is. Like, for me, I remember being I went to a Catholic school. I guess I would call it elementary. It was from from kindergarten to like eighth grade, and we were doing a play, and I think I was probably like maybe in 2nd grade or something at this, and I had like the lead role to sing. I was the lovely doll. That was my and a lot of other children also sang. And after we performed, we practiced, and I was so proud of myself. And at the end, it was a nun leading this one. We had some other lay teachers, but the nun was leading this, and she got up and she actually apologized to the parents out there for the tone deafness of the children. And I mean, I didn't understand what tone deafness was, but I understood, like, oh my God, something went wrong. And like, and it took me a long time to actually sing again. And yeah, so it's sometimes, it's like some people's words, right? Are like,
and it is, words have such a huge impact on people. And it's like when I was at school, I was in year, I think I was in year 9. So I will have been about 13. And I was told by my English teacher, she wasn't even my English teacher, she was a stand-in. But she told me that I was never going to amount to anything. I was going to work in the co-op for the rest of my life stacking shelves. So, but that obviously, like, something came from that, because then I stayed in a dead-end job for 17 whole years. Yes. And it's like that kind of boxed in any kind of ambition that may have come at any point, because we tell ourselves, well, that sticks with us. It goes straight to your subconscious. You claim it. You kind of wear it as a badge of honor and say, well, this is why I'm not doing anything. Like, but we don't actually know that, because it's gone in your mind. It just dictates and kind of guides the behaviors, rather than you actually stopping and thinking, oh yeah, this is because of this. So in such a fast-paced society, unless you actually take that time to slow down and actually be able to connect with your subconscious and ask yourself, right, okay, so why do I do these things? Peel back the layers like you would an onion and get to the root of where that's actually come from. Was it a statement? Was it something that somebody said to you? Was it an event or an experience that actually molded this and created this belief? So words are the most powerful things that you could ever use. They're like spells.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, I have 2 daughters. They're in their 20s now. But I've had to do a lot of work around releasing the guilt and the shame of when they were growing up, saying things to them that out of just a very unconscious place of anger. I didn't realize how much anger I had in myself until I started really doing more inner work. I'm like, oh my God, like, because I was like a people pleaser. Like, I never got angry, but instead I held it inside, and then would come up at the most inopportune moments. And like you said, it'll put these spells on individuals who are innocent. So yeah, but then we know better. When you know better, you do better, right?
Yeah. See, I've got a 13-year-old daughter as well, and it's like with her, like we took her out of school. She's home educated now, because just the whole kind of the whole school system, I think, can be very toxic, especially for girls, because you put them in that kind of cage with all these other girls, and it's just like a battle for, like, squash as much individuality as possible. Let's make them all the same. They don't have the same coat. They've got different shoes. Let's pick on them. So all of these words and everything come up, and then it just gets to a point where they're just absolute shells of the kids that they once were. So we took her out of school, and like we've done a lot of kind of building her up and like positivity and kind of getting her back to a good place, because like kids can be so cruel. But what people struggle to understand is that a lot of these cruel kids have come from like cruel places, and it's like they model the behavior that they've seen. So the kind of, you've got to kind of get to the root and think, right, okay, so why is this kid acting out like this? Why, what has hurt them? Like, hurt people.
Right.
So getting to the root of what is going on with these kids, and then being able to kind of pick out the weeds one at a time and say, right, okay, so we fix this child, we heal this child, then this child's going to be better. So it's just that whole journey, isn't it? But we've had so many generations of so much kind of sweep things under the rug, don't talk about your feelings, like, so there's just so much that needs unpacking, and I feel like our generations are kind of going through that. Over the next few generations, there's going to be a lot of kind of undoing and unlearning and kind of reset to get us back on a place where people can just love and just be happy and not have to feel like they've got to bow down to what everybody else expects of them.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful time to be alive, and the challenging, because you feel like you have to be breaking down more walls. And I mean, I don't know about you, but like before, it was ignorance is bliss. Like, I was kind of still in like the Matrix thing. And like, it was just like, looking back, I'm like, oh, it looked like I was happy, and it wasn't really, that I look back and I know a little bit better. But sometimes I'm like, oh, it was a little easier back then.
Yeah. So there is, ignorance is bliss a lot of the time. And I mean, over the past year, we've been through a lot of things where ignorance was sheer bliss. But then I think there's a lot of things as well, like there's self-awareness has so much to answer for. Like actually being self-aware and knowing your own feelings, and knowing, like you said before, about like acting out in anger, actually having that self-awareness to ask yourself, right, why am I feeling like this right now? What's coming up for me right now? And
Mm-hmm.
then be able to work through that, and then get to like a peaceful resolution, heal that part of yourself, and then be able to move on and obviously have kind of better reactions and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So what did prompt you to, maybe you mentioned it and I didn't catch it, but getting out of that dead end job for you? Like, what was there something that happened that was just very significant? Like, I just need to change right now.
Well, during COVID, like because I worked in a fish and chip shop during COVID, it was obviously closed down for the length of time that they weren't allowed to open for, and that was the time when my kind of network marketing business grew the most. Like things exploded.
Oh, okay.
But then I was seeing like other leaders and stuff in network marketing, and it started to open my eyes to like uncapped income, like limitless. Like money is energy. Money is like it's not something that's dirty. It's not something where you just get paid for like the hour. There's so much more to it than that. So I started to delve into that, and then I got to a point where I was like, I'm not happy going back and working for minimum wage there. Like I could be at home using these hours productively
Mm-hmm.
and putting it into something where I can dictate my own income. Like I don't have to go and work for £8.50 an hour and slog my guts off and struggle getting someone to look after my kids and worrying about the school holidays and everything else. Like I can this is my opportunity for freedom. So I kind of took it, and I learned a massive lesson in loyalty from that as well, because I obviously worked there for 17 years and I was so close to the owners. My original boss passed away in 2016 and his wife took over. And during that time, like I had slogged my guts out for this family. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, oh, so you're leaving. That was it, though. I haven't literally to this day haven't heard from them.
Oh,
So it's like I had given
wow.
up so much, and I had it taught me massively that you don't have to be loyal to people because they wouldn't return that favor, like given the chance.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Yeah,
never indispensable. You've always got to make sure you're doing what's right for you and kind of create your own path.
exactly. That is such wise words. Have you, yeah, because a lot of people think, well, if I stay in this company for this amount of time, and I mean, that used to be the way back when. I remember, my dad had a pension for being with his company for a while, but like, you don't have that anymore, and you are dispensable,
Yeah.
I got this book here. I don't have you ever, I keep this out because I love this book, by Robert Kiyosaki.
Is it Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yes, and the business
Yeah,
of the
I love
21st
that.
century. Yes, and yeah, because what you're talking about reminds me of the quadrant, right? So you're moving out of that employee mindset of working for, having the security of being with
Yeah.
company and getting, your pay every week until, yeah, and that's the mindset shift going
Yeah.
into being more of that, and not the entrepreneur one, because or the self-employed, because that's sometimes even worse, right? Because then you're like
Yeah.
working so hard and you
Yeah.
never take time off, but having the mindset of, you said, untapped income, potentiality, like infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
That's where the success comes, and then you
Yeah.
get energetically more aligned with money. That energy, it comes in, there's a flow, right? You're not pushing
Yeah.
it away.
Yeah. And I think as well, like obviously now, because the entrepreneur world is huge, like so many people are kind of stepping outside of that matrix and saying, right, okay, I'm doing things my way. I want to do this. This is what lights me up. This is what makes me feel amazing. This is how I can best impact the world. So I'm going to go for that. And a lot of people will kind of look at like certain paychecks and stuff that, like, if people are posting like income claims and stuff like that, they'll look and they'll be like, yeah, but that's not possible for me. And there's always some form of belief that comes to the surface when they see things like that. So it's that huge shift. Like I see that and I'm like, I want that. Like I am going for that. So it's either your driver or it's the one that's going to put the brakes on for you entirely. And it's finding that balance between the two to actually realize, right, so okay, so if I unpick these beliefs and I go through my money story and I figure out what's going on within me, what I've heard growing up, get rid of those and rewrite some new ones, then I'm going to open the gates and the floods of abundance will come flooding in. So it is a huge mindset shift, but I think it's one that like most people on the earth still need.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you pointed out that, you get rid of the old story, you're making space, but now you got to create new ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't just get
otherwise
rid
you
of the
set all
old
the
one and that's
space
it.
in.
Like, yeah.
And you don't really, like, I remember when I was doing a lot more work coming into more of my feminine flow. And I went way to the other extreme of like, well, I'm just going to sit back and just allow things to come to me. And like,
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, like wondering like nothing's coming this way. Like, oh, okay, I have to actually do something. However, it doesn't have to encompass my whole entire being. Like there does, you have to have some kind of a devotion to some, work per se that you're doing toward your goal. But so like you can't just get rid of all the old beliefs and just think new ones are. You actually have to call in and like, what are mine? Like, what are the more true for me?
Yeah, and ask yourself, like, the person that I want to become, what does that look like? Like, who is she? What are her behaviors? What are her habits? Like, what do her days look like? And kind of like, I like to use scripting, and I use that quite a lot of actually kind of writing the future.
Yes.
As if it's already happened. So it's kind of calling that person in and being able to think, right, okay, so, oh my God, I've done this today. And this was so different to what I would usually do. So this is definitely working. So it's kind of seeing those things in motion and then being it kind of building that faith and then continuing to obviously stick with that.
Yeah. And looking to people that you are living that life, a lifestyle that you want. Like those are the people those are the mentors, right? Like not the people that are naysaying and saying you can't do that because they're not living the life you want. So don't listen to what they say.
Don't ever take advice from somebody who's not doing what you're wanting to do, or that's that's kind of living a life that they're not actually happy with, because then you're just going to head on the path of having a life that you're not happy with.
I remember someone said this phrase to me a while ago is, I wish you well, but well away from me. They didn't say that at me, but I'm like, that's really, it comes from compassion and heartfelt thing, but it's also like, all right, well, thank you for you sharing what you did. But, I'm not going to listen and I'm going to go my own.
Absolutely.
No
so
judgment.
I watched I think it was on an Instagram reel, and it was a woman, and she was basically saying, she said she'd read this story about this man, and like he was living in poverty and he was just struggling so bad, and he, no matter what he tried, he just couldn't get by. He was in debt, constantly up to his eyeballs in debt, and he was really struggling. And he'd said to a millionaire, it said, how do you do it? I have tried so hard and nothing works. How do you do it? And he said 4 words. He said, keep the right company. So, and he said, have a piece of paper. He says at the top, put a drain and put, I can't remember what the other word was, but it was basically people that you want to spend time around, people that lift you up. So anybody who drains your energy, that doesn't bring any kind of goodness to your life, put them on the drain side and only spend 5 minutes with those people. And on the other side, the ones that lift you up, the ones that empower you, that make you feel good, spend as much time as possible with those people. And he did, and he went on to do it. And within 3 years, he was a millionaire. So it is about like the energy that you're around, the people that you're spending time with, and just making sure that you're kind of surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be around, that make you feel good. So not being stuck in the cycle of, oh, well, these are one of my biggest bugbears is family. And I love family. I love my family. I mean, my family is the ones that live under this roof. I've got my mum still here. She's absolutely amazing. But the whole making excuses for people because they're family, and kind of feeling like you've got to spend time with them because they're a family, when they drain your energy and they don't match kind of what you're wanting to bring to the world. So the whole, but you know what they're like, kind of things that people say. And it's just really frustrating, because it's like, you don't get to pick your family, but you get to pick who you spend your time with. So if they're not bringing goodness to your life, make a bit of distance, create a bit of distance. That's okay.
It's absolutely giving yourself permission to do that, because it's not
Yeah.
always easy. Actually, one of the blessings I've ever had, and I can say this now because I'm no longer married, but when I lived in New England years ago, my ex-husband, he was a part of a huge family, and some of them I'm still close with.
Yeah.
But I'm the only child for my family. So like every time we had big family gatherings, and usually it was at our house a few times a year, I would feel so drained, because it was just, there were some people that I could really, relate to, but then a lot was just like, oh my God. And they're family. You have to, there's birthdays, they have to be here. There's Christmas, right? And when I moved from New England to Texas here, we didn't have those every weekend, a gathering of some sort, right? Because everyone was having so many people in the family. There was a birthday almost every other weekend, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely noticed my energy just it shifted. It's like, oh, okay, I feel a lot better and more like myself. Having this distance,
Yeah, definitely. See, we originally, like, we lived in I was brought up in Leeds up until I was 13, and then we moved to Whitby, which is like a little seaside town. And all of my family, I come from a huge family, like literally coming from my nana, there's about 60 of us. So there's a lot. She's got like 6 or 7 brothers and sisters as well, and they've all got kids. So it's a pretty huge family. But we used to spend all weekends together. It was like we'd always go to the park together. If we ever went anywhere, we'd have sleepovers. And my cousins were pretty much my life. And I didn't know anything different. So when we moved to Whitby, it was a totally different atmosphere. And now, like, if we go to Leeds, like, we don't tend to go visit family very much, because I just don't feel like my people sometimes. And I'm like, oh, and breathe when we walk away. And I'm just like, I just want to go home now. But I think you've got to really be able to honor that, and you've got to really be able to feel into your own energy and know when there's something off and when something's kind of not right. And it's like, right, I need to adjust at this moment because I'm not feeling like my best self. Mm-hmm. So I need to remove myself from this environment. But so many people feel so kind of obligated to stay within those environments that it then starts to create like physical symptoms within the body, because all of this stress and all of this kind of, every time you say no to yourself, every time you say yes to someone else, and you say no to yourself, you're basically taking a sledgehammer to your confidence and draining your energy. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of finding that balance between, okay, so I can go visit these people for a very limited amount of time because I know for a fact my energy is going to need to be replenished after 10 minutes. But I also know that if I don't want to go, I don't have to. And it's making sure that you know that you've got that choice. You don't have to be obligated to do anything that you don't want to do or show up for anyone if you don't want to show up.
Right. Yeah. I resonate with that. And for me, I can say that's those boundaries were always very flimsy most of my life, until, and now, now still I still have to work at it. I'm definitely, like you said, I've given myself a choice, and allowing whatever feeling, the quote unquote guilt or shame of not doing it. It just, I let that just goes. I'm like, no, I'm important. And I love what you said. Whenever you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to you. Yeah. So, and I think a word we should just probably get rid of in the vocabulary is selfish, right? Yeah. Because that's selfish, I think is a taught word when we're younger. Like, oh, share, don't be selfish. You don't want to share your
selfish is a bad thing, but selfless is a good thing. It's like debatable.
Yeah, something got screwed up there in translation and stuff. So when you were talking about women releasing their layers and then having that light come on, have you ever heard of the dance of the 7 veils?
I've heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, I was researching a little bit more because I'm holding a retreat in September. I'm like, I want to bring this in, and it's the dancer wears these. So it's maybe I don't want to mispronounce anything, but more in the belly dance community. Right?
Yeah,
and the dancer wears 7 veils, like over her head, around herself, and the dance is just her releasing these veils in one by one, and
Yeah.
it's significant. It signifies originally this young girl just releasing all the stuff that had been put upon her to really
Yeah.
define who her true self is. And but it's done in such a beautiful, with the veils, and it's a very feminine flow of letting things just go, and just because it doesn't always have to be hard to do this work.
Yeah.
We can choose to be in a more higher dimensional healing energy, and it could, we could choose to let's make this easy. And that's the picture I have, is this dancer just really with sensuality, just removing these veils and just coming into her own essence, and the masks are off, this is me right now, this is who I am.
Yeah,
that's what I thought of when you said that. So
yeah, I love that. It's all about kind of getting back to your truest expression, and being able to kind of return back to yourself and just unlearn and remove all of the things that just aren't part of you, so that you can just express yourself in the truest form.
Yeah. And how exciting, right? To really, who am I without these beliefs? Oh my gosh, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, so I just want to ask you a question, and maybe we can get kind of curious. Maybe we both can answer this one. What has been one of your biggest fears, and how have you faced or are facing it in your journey right now?
I think one of my biggest fears was the fear of success. And the fear of success was basically holding me back, because I was terrified of not being able to sustain, as a reflector in human design, as a woman, a mum, a wife, and everything else, being able to sustain the energy to keep going. And I think I kind of had a bit of a flawed idea of success. So rather than just kind of seeing success that I kind of create, it was looking at kind of corporate world, got to work more hours, got to do more things, you've got this to do and this to do. And I think that overwhelmed me to a point where I'd kind of put the brakes on quite a lot in my business, and I'd come to a bit of a halt. So I had hypnotherapy with one of my coaches previous, and going through that and actually realizing success is what I make it. Every single person's idea of success is different. So my success is being able to take my laptop, being able to travel the world with my family, very minimal kind of items to take with us, but being able to collect those memories along the way and work from anywhere. That's my idea of success, whereas somebody else's will be different. But that idea of success doesn't take more work. I can delegate things should I need to, and can use the kind of talents and the gifts that I've been given to be able to do things in a way that works perfectly for me, being able to honor my energy along the way, rather than trying to bend and stretch to everybody else's idea of productivity and consistency and success. So yeah, navigating that was basically me looking so deeply into myself and asking myself, so what are my unique gifts? What do I kind of bring to the table? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Where can I delegate? My husband does most of my back-end tech work because I hate it and it drains the life out of me. Yes. So that all gets delegated to him. I have a VA who helps to kind of run my diary and stuff. And I love showing up on video. I love talking, as you can probably tell. I love having conversations with people. I love coaching. So I put my time and effort into doing those things, and then look for different strategies to be able to kind of minimize the workload, but maximize the impact. And that's kind of how I navigated that. And that's not a fear that shows up for me anymore.
Nice. Yeah. So you basically are walking your talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I come across so many women that have fear of failure, and that just wasn't a thing for me. I have fallen flat on my face so many times in my life that I am past the point of even giving a shit anymore. I'm if I fall over, just dance as I get back up and nobody will notice. I was walking to the shop with my friend and my daughter a couple of months ago, and I literally decked it and fell flat on my face on way to the shop, and I was like, what am I doing down here? It's just that when you genuinely cannot be embarrassed by anything that you do and you don't allow any of that to kind of penetrate it, then you just get on with it and it just doesn't matter. Like failures are the most exciting part of business because they're the ones that are going to teach you the most and help you to step forward in the biggest possible way.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's funny how that you mentioned the failure, because that was, and my fear of mine is to fail. It wasn't like yours with success. It was actually what happens when I fail. There was so much judgment there of just myself judging myself. And then I also saw myself projecting that on others of like, oh, they're probably going to fail at this. That's probably not a good idea. Why are they doing that? And so it was just like looking at, all right, where is this coming from? And it was, I kind of traced it back, I think, to my story of being an only child, where if I fail, I'm the only one they have, right?
Yeah,
so
it's a heavy weight to carry on your shoulders.
Yeah. So unbeknownst, not because I don't remember ever my parents telling me any of this. It's something I chose to take on myself and hold on. And so all my life, and I think that's where the people pleasing and the less boundaries, because I'm like, oh, people have to like me. I have to do everything that people want me to do. So people like me. I'm not going to fail. I won't be left alone. And, all this craziness coming up there. And now, like you said, like I see, it's almost like, it's not such I feel failure is if I quit something. Like if I quit something, I know I failed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But that is the only failure in life.
Right. So, but if I keep going, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I'm going to keep going, and I'm not going to fail. Eventually I'm going to reach my destination. Like I used to do a lot of marathons, and I really treasure those experiences because those were hard as heck. Training was hard, and that gave me so much confidence. Yeah. I was completing something, just like you mentioned about women getting certain ranks and stuff in their companies. Like when they got there, like they lit up. Like whenever I did a 18-mile run, I'm like, oh yes, I finished that.
I did it. I did that.
And I just recently had an experience. So it's been many years since I've done marathons, but I just signed up. I had signed up for a half marathon this past May in Denver, Colorado, because my daughter was running it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to train for it and I'm going to do it. And I was training for it. It's probably not the smartest thing to do, but it kind of coincided. I was also going through a heavy metal detox. So the race day, and I think on my training, like I didn't feel like 100% like strong, but I'm like, well, it's okay. I'm not there for a personal record. I'm there for, I'm finishing it. I'm running it with my daughter. Like it's our connection there. Like this is, there's no other agenda. Just I'll finish. And that was never a question during this race. Even though I was taking in a lot of minerals and stuff that were getting depleted by the detox, I cramped up massively. Like I've never cramped up before. And I sent my daughter away. I'm like, you just keep going. I'm going to finish. It's going to take me a while. And, it never came into my head that I was going to quit. Like I actually stopped at like the little ambulances. I'm like, do you have any like major electrolytes you can give me? And like, no, we'd have to pull you out to give you an IV. I'm like, no, I'm not quitting. Cause like I said, like if I quit, I know I failed this race. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I finished. And so, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and I'm going to conquer it. And, next time, being more physically prepared for it. That was just, that's just kind of me. I'm like, it's not going to break me. But yeah, so that's just knowing that you can complete something. It's, it's as long as you keep going.
Yeah. And it's like just that there's nothing wrong as well. Like I think a lot of people, and again, coming from a network marketing background, so many people in network marketing kind of say, I had a call the other day and it was, well, I'm still doing network marketing. I'm not really making very much money, but I don't want to be seen as a quitter. And it's like, but if you're doing something that's draining the life out of you and you're doing something that isn't giving you any joy whatsoever and you're not getting paid for it, then pivot and change and try something different. There's nothing wrong with that and there's no shame in that. So I think it's more courageous recognizing that you're in a place where you're not supposed to be than it is staying in a place you're not supposed to be just to prove that you're not going to quit. So it's not quitting, it's just pivoting. It's just kind of like taking a different path and trying something new.
Yeah, it's just shifting over to something else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like in a race, I kind of had to, I guess, quote unquote, quit the run, and I chose to walk. Right?
Exactly.
Like
but you finished it, and you still got to the end of it, and you were like, right, I've done it. I did that.
Yeah. Just like someone you were just talking with is, all right, well, maybe this mechanism here isn't what's going to bring you success or joy. There's something else, walk, shift over here, change.
Absolutely.
Change your address.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely loved our talk today. It's been very inspiring, and I actually love listening to your accent.
Well, over here, I am known as a commoner. So I am from Yorkshire, and we kind of have like the commonest accents out of the whole of the UK, I think. So.
Well, that's actually interesting, because when I was in college, I went over to London and a few other little countries over there too, like Brussels and things.
Yeah.
But I took a 3-week summer course in London, and I remember going out, and sometimes I'm like, I know you're speaking English, but I have no idea what you just told me.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a friend that lives down south, and she cannot speak to me on a normal phone call. We have to video call so she can lip read, because when I get really excited, I talk really fast. So she's like, I have no clue what you just said. Can you video call me, please, so I can try and understand? I'm like, okay, I'll call you back.
The captions down there.
Yeah, definitely. Although captions don't even do me justice sometimes. So, but yeah, I think it's nice, isn't it? Like, everybody's kind of got a little bit of individuality. I sound totally different to my husband and my kids, because I'm kind of partially Leeds, which is like West Yorkshire, which is even more common than North Yorkshire, and then mix that with North Yorkshire. So yeah, I find accents really, really interesting.
Yes, me too. I was always sad, like I didn't really have one. But I guess over here sometimes people know that I'm from the north, northeast. They pick up on a little like twang or something, but I don't. It's it's not as common as an English accent or Australian. I mean, those are very prominent. Definitely are the.
So, well, you've definitely got an accent to me.
Well, thank you. I'll put everything down in the notes when I upload this, but please give everybody ways they can follow you and to work with you. How do they do that?
Well, I am on Instagram. I am building my Instagram up. Instagram seems to be the place to be for me at the moment. I am loving it over there. And I am Recode Your Reality, so I'll send you the link over for that. And I've also got a Facebook, which I use quite a lot as well. I am Laura Guy on Facebook. Okay. So
nice.
You can find me over there.
Well, I absolutely love this time with you, Laura. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your beautiful light. And I am inspired. I learned a lot. You have helped my mindset. And actually, a question I have. So, I mean, as coaches, right? We coach other people.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I do have a coach. I do.
It keeps you on track.
She's from Texas too. I recently started working with her a couple of weeks ago, and she's just absolutely amazing. She helps me, like, obviously with the whole mindset stuff, but she helps me with like content and stuff like that as well. So she's fab, and helping me just to kind of, I mean, the heart of my business is authenticity and just showing up as you are, and like no frills. Don't feel like you've got to like change yourself just to be you. So reflecting that in my content, like I've pivoted a lot recently, because when it comes to writing content and you're sitting and you're typing your posts, it drains the life out of me, and I hate it, and I can never kind of get the words out in the way that I want them to. So I've kind of changed how I kind of do my content strategy. So I'm doing more like talking head videos and kind of showing up on stories and doing lives and stuff like that, so that I can kind of just kind of be in that moment without having to sit and kind of plan everything and be so structured.
I love that. And that's where I think more people will resonate, and they can really feel you when you are being your authentic self and not
absolutely.
I remember I had a business coach a while ago, and she was all into, it was on Instagram, and when you looked at your page, it all had to look a certain way, like
mine's not like that.
And I was like, that's a lot of thought, because sometimes I just want to do a video, but that's not the next post I should make because I made the,
Yeah.
so it just kind of got me in my, and then I ended up not doing anything sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You get in your own head, don't you? And then you're like, well, if I post it like this, then does this make sense? And if I do it like this, then would this get a better response? And what if I do it like this? And you just get stuck asking yourself so many questions that in the end you don't take any action because you need to go lay down and have a nap. So it's just literally when the inspiration comes, when the moment comes, just absolutely just go for it in whatever way that feels natural to you. Don't feel like you've got to kind of put frills on things and kind of fancy things up. Just show up just as you. Like I show up on my stories and just talk probably utter crap sometimes on my stories, but they're just my daily musings, like the kinds of things that just go through my head where I'm just like, has anybody else ever done something like that? Like I was cleaning my kitchen sides and I got distracted. And you know the cooking spray, like the fry light that you can get? Well, I accidentally used that instead of the cleaning spray and sprayed the kitchen worktops because I was distracted. So I went on, so I was like, has anybody else ever done that before? And I think that builds the most kind of genuine connection on social media because you know what you're going to get. Like what you see is what you get. There's no kind of hiding. There's no masks. There's just, this is me. Take it or leave it. If you don't like me, you're obviously not my person. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you just move on. You'll find somebody else and somebody will find you.
Yeah. But not taking it to heart when somebody, like if somebody doesn't like you, like that's fine. If you're not their person, they can go find their person. But don't dim your own light to try and make this person like you because chances are they're not going to bring any value to your life.
Oh, no. I'm just going to bring some drama. You're always going to have to be explaining yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Walking on eggshells and just shrinking yourself down to try and fit into the box that they create for you. And it's like, just break out. I don't even have a box. I have a piece of cardboard that I carry around with me. And I'm like, let's put it down wherever I want it to go. It's going to be flat. It's not growing. It's not getting smaller. It is what it is.
Well, what you said just a little while ago, I'm going to snip this out of this because it was so, when you get it, I'll send it to you. And it was so inspirational just for life in itself. It was just, show up and just when the moment comes, you said, just do it. Just do it. And that's life wisdom, right? Just something shows up and you're like, just go. You want to do it, do it. Don't second guess.
It's called inspired action for a reason.
Yes.
And when you in the world of law of attraction, like manifestation is aligning the thoughts and thinking the things that you want and then aligning it with the action that you're taking. And then it comes together and it produces what you want it to create. But there's got to be that inspired action, not that kind of dictator action of I should be doing this, they said I should do that, but oh my God, I want to do this. Like I jump on live sometimes and I don't even know why I've shown up because I've jumped on it that quick. And I'm like, the message hasn't quite downloaded yet because I've just jumped in a bit fast. Just give me a minute. It'll come to me. It's fine. So, but
you had the inspiration. You know something's coming.
But it's like universe is like, wait a moment. We're not there yet. But just being completely unapologetically like authentic as fuck. Like that is the goal in life. Just shed all the layers, get out of your own head, stop thinking that your ego is there to try and save you because it's not, and it's never going to make your life grow. No. So get out of your head, get into your heart and trust your process.
Love it. Yeah. The ego just kind of keeps you stuck and questioning.
Yeah, keeps you safe, but the safety that it gives you isn't necessarily the safety that is, well, not necessarily, it's never going to be the safety that is going to propel your life forward. It's going to be the safety that's going to keep you in that comfort zone, and comfort kills people.
Yes.
So.
Yep. Be uncomfortable.
Yep, definitely. Uncomfort always, discomfort always. So you will have to kick me off because honestly, once I'm like feeling inspired now, and I'm like,
well, go get on a live or something.
Yeah,
it's all coming.
So, but it's been so lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Laura, so much. All right, I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Yep.
All right.
Take care. Bye.